Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Hobby Chop Podcast, the podcast for the people. I am Big Ken. He is Zip. Zip, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, doing good. Here on a Monday. That's interesting, huh?
I know. Hey, we're drinking coffee instead today.
Instead of whatever we're drinking. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a short week. I'm going to be heading out to Wednesday morning. I'm on my way to Anaheim for the West Coast Card Show. So we have to not only get this in, but I got to get my preparation for this show too, which it's funny coming back from the national, where you would think that would be the place to do everything, where I just brought a handful of cards that I sold that I wanted to sell out there to kind of pay for some of the trip and pick up some new cards. That I would have been more prepared, but I came home and I was sick for a week, and now I've spent a whole week preparing to go to this next show.
Preparation H, preparation hobby. Yep, that's how we do it, right?
Yeah. You can never be too over prepared, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, right? Just what it takes to what goes into traveling to a show, and to some it makes sense, and to others they just think it's a waste of time or a waste of money.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting now is this time of year specifically is like people, there's a rumor put out by a local writer in camp. I'm talking NFL right now. These little things that can jack prices up or down either way. So it's like, I don't know when, maybe you could talk about this. Like, when are you going to price your football stuff? Like day of? Because by now, Monday that we're recording this, and you leave Wednesday, right?
Yep.
By the time you're out there, there'll probably be multiple comps of certain cards that you're selling. Not all, but maybe certain ones. There'll be multiple comps that could have drastically went up or down in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to change that much. I build a spreadsheet, especially for the bigger shows. I do it every year. I have one spreadsheet that I use, that I just put it the year, the card, the player, what the grade is, what the actual current comp is on it, and then it breaks it down for a comp of 95% and 90%, right? Because certain cards I'll do at 90%, some I'll do more, possibly some will go less. And one of the things I did for a couple of days is I just create that whole spreadsheet, right? I have the football, and I have the women's basketball, and then I'm getting out there Wednesday. The show starts Thursday. I'm getting out there Wednesday, and that's probably what I'm going to do in the room that night, is just go back and look at all those prices. But at least I have an idea of what these cards are going for, because it's very volatile this time of year. I mean, somebody gets hurt in camp, or somebody's not doing well, or somebody did something amazing in the preseason. Those prices could go anywhere.
Yeah, and if you don't know, I'm fairly certain that Card Ladder now has the camera feature for the slabs. So that can save you some time.
Yep.
I'm sure you already knew that, but if you didn't, save you some time.
Yeah.
Well,
I have two-row boxes full of slabs, right? So it's just, one at a time. Just keep taking a picture of each one, and it's and you've got to do it. And I like to do it. And I talk about this. I like to do it like the day before. Like, I could do it this week. I could go with those prices that I have. But a lot of times when I'm doing it the day before, I'm remembering, and not only remembering what the comp is, but if there's something, there was an outlier. Like, all of a sudden, one sold for 600, but all the other ones were selling for 800 or 850. And I know, why do I do that? I know, because the first guy that comes up to my table, or woman that wants that card, they're going to say, well, it looks like the last one sold at 600, or 650.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to, all of a sudden, magically, they can't see those $800 sales. It's the only one they can see is the 600. So,
yeah. And whether I'm a buyer or seller, I think a little good PSA for that too is, if there ever is like some outlier like that for a set of data of sales, it's always good just to click go to that listing and see, was there something in the description? Was there, was it mislisted? Was it mislabeled? Is there something? Because that happens all the time. I see that all the time when I'm buying like cards, and there's like a crazy outlier, and it is because of this, that, or the other. So, and it a lot of times you could tell in pictures or the listing.
Yep. Or if there's one that's super high, did it get paid for? And you know what's funny too, which I've noticed with eBay, is sometimes cards are being sold, and I picked this up with Card Ladder, with eBay doesn't show it. And I did it with a card last night. It was a high-end Cameron Brink card that sold, and it said it sold on eBay for $2,000. It was at $2,000 or best offer, because I went back and I looked at the actual sale on eBay, and it looks like it sold for $2,000. But when I pulled it up on Card Ladder said it sold for $1,500. So then I compared, it was the same sale, the same card. So apparently it was a best offer accepted on that card at $1,500, but eBay still showed it $2,000. But Card Ladder knew that it was $1,500. So that's $500 is a pretty big discrepancy between the two.
Yeah, that's 25%, right? For that. Yeah. That's huge. I mean, I've seen that a few times where, like, no, because normally if you were to see that on eBay, you'd expect to have the 2,000 listing and then like a cross. The price would be crossed, and it would say like best offer accepted.
Yep.
That's what I would think too. Yeah, that's why like I kind of live and die by Card Ladder, just because I know what to expect there. Like, and I know, I've come to just trust it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to, but I do, and it's kind of all I really trust now.
Well, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think eBay is easily manipulated, right? People can easily manipulate it, and what I think what we get out of Card Ladder, right, is somebody being more realistic and looking at this, saying, is that more realistic? Is it not? And also looking at the market trend. Is this card? That's the one thing I like on that is, is this player trending up? And
indexes, like the player indexes, you're saying?
Yeah.
It's great. It's not perfect, but it's some sort of data put together. Dude, I absolutely agree with you. It's not going to be perfect. There's so much data and so much variance of like, how are you going to, totally cap? It's so nuanced, but I agree.
And I can't believe somebody actually inputs that data all the time.
I know. Shout out them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out them.
So I'm getting ready for this. I'm getting ready to go. And one of the things we're just going to talk about today is a little bit of the expenses. And, it's funny. I did my episode, Sports Card Lessons episode yesterday, saying that it's just like a hobby reset, right? So I'm bringing, all the slabs that I have, and I'm hoping to sell them all out there and come home and a complete reset for moving forward. And one of the interesting things, an interesting comment I got yesterday, and it's something that we talked that we're going to bring up today. And I'm just going to pull this up here. So I ended up getting a comment yesterday that says, "Hey, Ken, do you actually like sports cards? It seems you are only in it for the shows and for selling. I'm just wondering if you actually have passion for collecting or just selling." So I just thought it's a fair comment. If you listen to a lot of stuff I talk about, I'm talking about, setting up at shows and selling and things like that. And I really want to put it out there that, nothing in this hobby is free. And there are people in this hobby are just true collectors. And I understand that. And I'll be the first to say, I am not a true collector. I am not the person that will go out to a show or go to an auction or whatever and say, that's the card I want for my PC, and buy that card and put it in there. And at the end of the day, just be happy with that. Right. So something I've talked about, 7 seasons I've been doing the podcast, right? Something I talked about is being able to be a part of this hobby, sell cards, make money to buy cards that, yes, that I am passionate about. Doesn't mean I'm going to keep them forever, that I may resell them, but I've always got a collection of cards. And one of the things, and this is, we were going to do this episode anyways, and I'm just going to start out with the meat and the potatoes up front, and then we can move on from there.
Yeah.
It probably costs $3,000 for this trip that's coming up this
Conservatively.
weekend. Right, conservatively, between the hotel and the table and the case rentals and the airfare, parking at the airport, getting Ubered from the airport to the hotel, back and forth, and food and entertainment and things like that out there. I understand a lot of people could say, wow, that's a lot of money. I'm just going to take that and go buy this card for that much money, because you could buy a pretty nice card with that kind of money.
Yeah.
But that's not the entertainment part I'm looking for, right? I'm looking to go out and be a part of the hobby. I want to be in the thick of it. I want to be in the weeds, right? I want to be out there shaking hands. I want to be out there meeting people, doing deals, things like that. I mean, this is the part of the hobby I like to be a part of.
Yeah, and just to speak on that, I guarantee if you saw Ken's office, you would know he is a collector, and he. What do you? I mean, actually, I don't know. I'm not going to say it because it's. You have a lot of. This is how I'll rephrase it. And it was nothing bad. I just don't know if you want certain information out there on some of your collections, because it's very impressive and it could implicate things on the market, larger scheme, because you have so many of them. But like, of the players UPC, you have like every single card they've had, like Trinity Rodman. You have like, this is fine, I'll say, because you've said this before. You have like 50 to 75% of her night moves PSA 10 population, right?
And it's not just that particular card.
I mean,
even if you go back to her,
very small, like it is that, but like I can assure you guys, times a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I can actually say, and one of the things, and we're going to get off a little bit off the beaten path, but we're going to jump back on. But I can honestly say, I remember Chris and Josh, from Card Ladder, in 3 or 4 years ago, when I first got back into the hobby, where I was just buying all kinds of stuff, saying, oh, like more is better. Like in my mind, more is better. And I remember them in an interview, and I don't remember which one said it, but they said, if you want to be a collector of somebody, you need to own the top 1% of their cards, right? Then you're a true collector of somebody. And I can honestly say I am a true collector of Trinity Rodman.
And
right?
Sarah Strong, probably.
Yes, Sarah Strong right now. I have a couple of her Superfractor one-of-ones. Yes, many, a lot of her cards. Juju Watkins, I'd like to say, because there are so many of her cards out there, and I know, I know some people who have some nicer Juju Watkins cards than I do, but yeah, like I have a lot of her stuff too. So there's a lot of, and a lot of different players that I buy into. But where do I get the money to buy those cards? It's doing all this, right? I don't get paid for doing this content, for creating content. I've never been paid up to this point to create content. So yeah, I mean, it's all passion, right? It's all passion projects. It's all passion. It's all work. But, at the end of the day, that money's got to come from somewhere, right? You need to earn that money somewhere that will cover the other things that I do. So yeah. And this is it. This is my lane in the hobby. It's what I do.
I mean, I would love to hop in my private jet to go out to West Coast and buy cards so I can say, yes, everyone, look at all of my money and all of my cards that are going nowhere ever because I just have this and I can wipe my you-know-what with these $100 bills. Wouldn't we all love to do that? But we can't. Like, think about how ridiculous it would be. Like, I've changed a bunch because I have a baby, and then me and my wife are both in our second go-about of grad school. Granted, yes, we have chosen that route, okay? But
so pretty soon you'll be able to do that with the $100 bills, right?
Yeah. Sure. No, not with what we're doing. No, yeah. But we'll be okay. Eventually, we'll be okay, and I'll be able to grow a PC, hopefully, a bit more than like because what I have now is very modest, and it's not all cards. And I will say, talk briefly, and then we can get back onto it. But when it comes to, like, for example, me with the stuff I want to collect, I've just come to realize that it's not necessarily a player or a thing, but it's something that I can connect with for whatever reason. Like I mentioned, and I put the feelers out, and all the listeners, thanks for dropping the ball on the David Ortiz autograph that I wanted. No, I didn't get anyone sending me that. No one saw that card, or if they did, they didn't send it to me. So but stuff like that, if I actually want to collect it and keep it, I actually want it to really matter to me, rather than like, oh, I love this because the market says this is important. Like, I would rather it just be important to me, if I'm going to actually collect something. So
yeah,
I've at least done these thought processes and thought experiments, I guess, as I've been hearing everyone talk about collecting and all of that, and come to find out what I want or don't want. So,
and isn't it great when you come across a card, even if you buy it in a collection? I usually find it in a case that you're like, it may or may not align with something that I'm PCing or prospecting on, but then you just all of a sudden fall in love with the card, and you're like, yeah, I didn't even know that existed, but now I can't live without it. And you take that card and you put it in it. I display them here in the office so I can see them every day. Right. And sometimes I'll keep looking at certain cards and I'll see a new card and I'll get it and I'll replace it with that card. And I'll be like, now where am I going to put the card that it replaced? Am I going to keep it in the PC? Am I going to keep it here? Or is that a card that maybe I want to, cycle back out into the market and give somebody else a chance to own that card? Because, it's okay to fall out of love with your PC cards, right?
yeah.
Or a player or something like that. And at the time when you're buying them, you 100% believed in it. But then there comes a time when you're like, maybe I'll move on from them. And others, you're like, never. I'm never moving on from that card. Even if I'm not keeping it here, it's going to stay somewhere. I'm not parting ways with that card.
Yeah, and I just think it's really funny how, like, in this community, we feel the need to have that explanation to others, like some people do. Like, I'm someone, I think you found at this point, I really don't care what anyone thinks. Like, I'm going to operate how I operate, and if you don't like it, then don't listen to me. Don't look at what I'm doing. I'm like, I really could care less, But it's just,
I think most people that are in the hobby that are, I think there's a lot of people that this is just a business and they're going out there. And I think those people would be very interested to know what you do and how you operate. Just because you're not a super collector or a super, whatever, it doesn't mean you don't hold value or be able to, educate in some fields, because, there's people who spend a lot of time and may never even achieve to that point where you are, in the hobby. I'm one of those people that I look at you and I'm like, man, someday, right? Or maybe I'll get there, or maybe I'll do it, but I have so many other things going on. I'm like, do I really have time to try to jump into that lane too? And I never actually get to that point.
Yeah, it's just a totally different lane, I think. I feel like we're getting a little off track though.
We are, but
we're getting going on a little tangent. I appreciate the compliment though, but yeah, I mean, I think for everyone, and we could just keep echoing this, is that whatever everyone's experience is going to be different. Like, because there are people that I see that are doing way more volume and like higher deals than me, that are younger than me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, what are they? That one day, I feel the same way. One day I'll be moving like that, right? Like, and it's just, that's why I think it's always just important to just acknowledge what other people are doing, but understand you don't know anyone's situation. So it's really just best to focus on yourself, honestly. Yeah. If you start looking elsewhere and comparing, you could become envious, jealous, or the opposite. You could be overconfident, and then you have like this ego thinking you're this, when at the end of the day, we're buying and selling sports cards, of people who are actually able to do what we wish we were able to do, so we could have our own cards, and we can't. So we buy and sell their cards. So like it's really a humbling thing if you sit back and look at it. It's like they're all luxury items. They only matter because we collectively as a community say they matter.
Yeah. And I think there's probably a lot, a good percentage of people out there, and we talk about having your different lanes in the hobby, that are 100% here just for the money. I mean, there is not one card that is not for sale. There's not one card that comes in that doesn't go right out, like trying to, make a profit on it. And I think we need those people, just like we need the people who only collect, who just buy the cards, right? I think all these lanes in the hobby I are needed, right?
Yeah, if everyone was a true collector, there would be no sales, right? Or there'd be no sales.
Yeah.
So like I don't even know how that would work. Everyone would just open boxes and then keep everything they had.
Yeah. And people who are out getting collections and making these cards available, right? So you go walk out, just like I said, wow, I was at a show on Friday. I saw a card that I was like, I can't live without this card now, right? I'm so happy that there's a dealer there in the room that I can buy this card from. And now
I think it's great too, because like you make these connections. Why don't I go to shows? Well, I one relationship that I have, Sunday before a local show of ours that's well known, messaged me and said, hey, I just want to sell you all the sports because I know we have our agreed upon values and what I'll give them. He's like, I'll sell to you before I even go to the show. So yeah, you could go to shows, but the best cards are not. Sometimes the best cards aren't showing up because people have established relationships and they're able to make deals before it because they don't want to deal with, whatever.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's just like golf, right? Maybe I can hit the ball 200 yards, but I guarantee I can hit it 100, right?
I guarantee I can hit it 3 yards in front of me when I top it.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, those relationships, that's what people rely on, right? Like that person is like, I don't want to go to a show and deal with people pricing out, comping cards, spending all that time doing that. I want to go to the show and do something else. So I'll meet you before the show. Here's my inventory. What are you paying? And I'll meet you before I go in. And yeah, I mean, that was last episode, right? Relationships.
I know. I feel like we're just running it back. I know.
Yeah. But that was, I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, you really, got your lane there. So going back to the show itself, traveling to the show, does it make sense, right? So it really depends on who you are. Like if it's really about the money, it probably doesn't make sense to travel to any of the bigger shows where you're flying and a hotel room and meals and all that stuff. Because there's a lot of expenses. Like, I talked about kind of what it would cost earlier, when I get there, right? All those first 3,000 or so sales are going right back into covering the expenses of everything that I've done here, right? But maybe not exactly through that, because one of the nice things about preparing for a show is I buy your airfare 2 months ago. I paid for the table 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Right. I bought the cases 6 weeks ago, or rented the cases. So kind of spread that out. Right. So, but it's still an expense that has to be paid for, or it's been paid for through the hobby, through selling cards.
Yeah. And then even at that though, Ken, is like not even just the first 3,000 sales, like, cause that's revenue. That's not profit, right? Like, then when you look at it that way, it's like, how much revenue do I need for the 3,000 profit to then just cover, right?
Yeah.
It's I mean,
it's just think about it. I mean, anybody listening can do the numbers. I mean, if you're making 10%, like literally, and that may be a tough number, in today's hobby. 10% may be a tough number, especially since margins and everything are so tight. But if you're making 10%, you can do the math. How much I need to sell to cover that trip. And at what point does that trip become a form of entertainment too? Of where I'm going to the movies or I'm going to, somewhere else, to the casino or whatever, that I'm going to pay for entertainment, and I'm not expecting, I go to the movies, I don't expect it, to be able to go out and do a review and get paid for it, right? So that money is gone. So it's just a form of entertainment, and how much of that is a form of entertainment too. And really, you have to factor that in, because if it's not a form of entertainment and you're not out there enjoying yourself, if it's strictly a business, it's a tough business.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think you probably have the inventory to do it. You want to touch on some of the inventory you're bringing out there?
I I mean, I could. I have a bunch of Mahomes rookie cards, 2017, that I'm bringing out there. Those will be the highlight of my football case. And a lot of just type of case hit stuff, like the explosives and the Genesis and the stained glass, and cards. If you go back over the episodes I've been buying along the way and talking about and showing, that I just keep putting aside and put it aside. Some of the stuff I've graded. I have a ton of Caitlin Clark stuff I'm bringing out. I've been grading Caitlin's that I really haven't been selling it at all, or putting in, anything that I've been selling, or the PSA 9s or the raws or things like that, that anything that came back at 10, I've been holding myself. So this is a great show to break all those out. I was hoping that she was back playing, it would have been a little better, but her market is still very strong.
Yeah.
And I just picked up a couple cards from Carmine at Carmine's Cards. I picked up the Caitlin checkerboard PSA 9, and the courtside pink ice PSA 10. So, I mean, just stuff like that. A lot of higher end stuff that I think this is the show to go. And I mean, this is, if I had the table at the National this year, this was all the inventory would have been sitting on that table at the National. Yeah. So didn't make it this year, right? So this became the show to do.
Yeah, it isn't the West Coast Card Show. It's Ken's National. That's what we're calling it. It's Ken's National. Yeah. So you talked a little. I mean, when you put the numbers how they are and say at 10% to make the profit. So right. So we know the numbers. Does that change how firm you're going to be on the sticker price to comps when selling at a show, right? And just me not doing it how you are, I would think if that's where I have to be, I'd probably try to be like pretty firm at selling, like at least at 95%. I could be off though. I'm just trying to think of like how would I reach that number to make it worth my while?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I just put the 95 and the 90% to know what would be my absolute bottom. When I look at when on the spreadsheet, when I'm looking at that price. But yeah, I would like to be the 92 to 95%. And especially, with the case hits and things like that, I think, people are not going to have too much trouble paying for those.
Yep.
There may be cards that come Sunday that, I may say I can go a little bit below that. But at the end of the day, I have people here at home. I had 2 phone calls this morning, said, hey, look, don't sell any of your football cheap. Like whatever you got, I'll pay 90% on. So, I know I don't need to like start saying, oh, okay, I'll take the 85 or the 88 if I've got someone that's going to give me 90% on them,
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's good to have that, again, not to go back, but it really all revolves around that. You have that connection, you have that relationship. So you have a floor. Like You don't have to sell below X because no problem. You can get that whenever you want.
Yeah. And I don't need all this. I don't need the West Coast Card Show to sell these cards. Like I could make a phone call or a message today to somebody that we know that would meet me and say, I'll buy all this stuff from you at that. So really, for me to be able to go out there, it's one, I get to experience this show. Two, I get to see the people on the West Coast that are listeners that I
Yeah.
never get to see, that are going to be coming to the show. So there's a lot more built in around this, that and being able to experience it. Like this morning, I was on Instagram, and there was a number of people like showing, hey, I'm getting ready to go to the West Coast. I'm traveling. I'm loading the car up. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. If I didn't do it, I'd be sitting here with FOMO, saying, man, I should have went to that show, because I mean, even if it's the only time I go, which I talk to people who go once that have never missed it. They've been to one Anaheim show. They've never missed it again. That's how much they like that show. So I may be that person, or I may be like, you know what, that was great. I'm glad for the experience, and I'll move on to a bigger show or a different show next time.
Yeah. I'm definitely interested to hear how it goes, and it sounds like you have a good variety of inventory. Anything else regarding that show that you have planned, or you've been thinking about in preparation for it?
Well, there is a trade night. So it's funny because I saw a trade night Friday night, Saturday night. So super excited. I'm like, we got 2 nights of trade night. It's all going to feel like a national. And then I looked back at it again this morning, and I realized it was sports Friday night and TCG Saturday night, that they separated. Now the Marriott and the Hilton, 2 hotels next to each other. And again, I've never been, but I pulled it up and online and looked. And the Marriott trade night sports is Friday night. The TCG is at the Hilton Saturday night. But I'm sure there's going to be trade nights everywhere, right?
Yeah, I
mean,
was just going to say, I can't imagine.
I'm sure those are just the
up.
sanctioned trade nights, or the organized one, because all the other ones I'm sure are just going to be in the lobbies the whole time. So, and again, I enjoy the trade nights. I get to meet a lot more people at the trade nights, and I think I like the fact that it puts everything on an even playing field. And you know what? Being a dealer, right? Even though you've got a buying sign up, I mean, there's 1,500 tables in the room. The chances of seeing like decent cards come to the table are pretty slim, except for if someone sees, oh, you've got all this stuff, NBA stuff, women's college stuff. Like, I have this card. I am not going to show it to all these other people because maybe they're not interested. But for the most part, you don't see much. But one thing about a trade night, you get to see what people who are walking the show, not the dealers that are sitting up, but all the other stuff, probably stuff you never get to see. And I think that, to me, that's probably one of the more exciting things about trade night, is you get to see all the cards that are in everybody's case that's walking around. Like, I know I'm a dealer, and people are gonna be like, yeah, I know, I saw your stuff in there. But for me as a dealer, to go and to walk around and be able to see everybody else's cards, that these people who never did make it to my table, I mean, I think that's the attractive part of the trade night.
It's interesting you say that, because what's like, obviously, if really good cards come up to the table, like, that's great. I just remember when I was setting up, I thought one of the most valuable things were, like, I could buy attendees cards that were like 50 and under, even, like, and I could I'd have the sole opportunity as the dealer to just take them, look at them, be like, could this thing grade well? Because when you can grade those lower end cards in volume, the margins are way stronger than 10%. You just got to wait a little bit for them to get graded. But, like, imagine you bring, like, it doesn't have to be a ton of money. Like say you brought $500 specifically to those 50 and under dollar cards. And I'm talking, me, I will buy $2 and $5 cards and grade them and sell them. But, like, if you just do that in volume, you can still make buying worth your while at a better percentage. It's just like you're gonna have to do a little bit of a volume play to see the dollars really add up. But, like, that was like, I loved that as a dealer. And if I was going to the West Coast card show, I bet you a lot of dealers are just looking right over those opportunities, because they're there thinking about this percentage and this table cost and this expense cost. They're thinking big, 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 big. When if you just do volume small, you can eclipse it. Just like, so.
Yeah, and you start digging in that singles boxes, you pull it out and make bulk deals on some of those cards. You're getting 10 or 15% of those cards for nothing.
Oh yeah, and that's from dealer singles boxes. How about when attendees come up with their massive Zion cases, they got like 10 slabs, and then all the other rows are these loose singles. Those are the attendees I would like to buy from, because I think those lower end raw cards are sustainable and like reliable on what they're gonna do. Like if you're buying something under $10 and it can 10, and then when it 10s, it sells for $50 to $100, you just do it over and over again. And I just think the opportunities to get those cards, like setting up as a dealer, that's one of the best opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll give you some money to do that for me as they come up.
And also, you got a good outlet, like where it's not like you're thinking, okay, now what do I do with these cards? Immediately grade and sell, or just sell the singles, right? To move the singles out.
And there's like no risk in it. I mean, there's not as much risk.
I mean, it's minimal. I mean, the upside is a lot higher, right? The upside is a lot higher because it's such minimal risk.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just think about that all the time of like, what does it take to buy a $500 card? So you find a $10 card that you grade and it sells for $100. So then let's call it $30 each. Five of them, $150. If you can gem the 5 cards, then you could get that $500 card for $150. Just got to sell it. I know it's not perfect, and people can pick it apart all they want, but it's that simple in my opinion. Because then if you're into a card for $30 and it's worth $100, then you have like a 70% margin.
Yeah,
and those are the margins that other people work with.
Yeah, and that could even cover the other 2 or 3 cards that maybe didn't gem, maybe got a 9, and you may be underwater on them and maybe losing $5. Maybe the card got a 9 and you're into it for $30, but it only sell for $20 or $23, right? So that 70 you can make up, on a few misses, once you have a hit there.
Yeah, I think another thing too is like, at events like this, and it's not a shot at it because I think I've never been, but I bet the event's awesome. But it's just in general, like big events, I feel like everything gets sensationalized to the big cards, the best cards, the what's gonna look great on YouTube, it's gonna be on my Instagram. When like, if you want to go dollars to cents, what's like the easier money? It's it's the not sensationalized, the not glamorous stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, if people would like swallow their pride a little bit and just grind it out, you could get your sensationalized cards for like not having much into them, Yeah,
well, that's sensationalization really comes down to the content creation, people buying these big banger cards or making these big deals.
So we're perpetuating the madness is what you're saying.
Yeah. I think a lot more value happens with a lot more lower cards than the upper hand. Like I have a couple cards I graded that dual Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels PSA 10. I mean, that card's a home run for me. I opened up a $25 blaster and that card fell out, right? And $79 grading, and that card's worth a ton of money. Yeah. So those home runs right there, which are far and few between, right? I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. Usually I got to put more work in than that. But just some of those home runs like that can go a long way to covering a lot of different things, or being able to take that money, reinvest it into all those singles or something like that, and continue to profit from that. Let's just keep that going.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about that a little bit. You're going to West Coast. when you're at the show as a dealer, are you gonna be buying?
I am going to have my buying sign up. I'm probably not going to be buying football. I don't think, and I've talked about this. I don't think this is the time to be buying football. This is the time to be selling football. I could buy singles. I'm probably not buying graded stuff. I may buy some singles, some WNBA stuff possibly. So really, in my mind, looking for the the women's college basketball, anything autograph number stuff like I've been buying. I've got I think still close to 200, maybe 180, 188 cards out at PSA. That's going to start to come back, and a lot of that is football and women's basketball, right? So it's whatever comes back of that, I could be moving that, throughout the fall, like, whenever that stuff comes back. But really now I'm looking to buy and grade of stuff that I'm going to be selling in December, January, February. So when I'm looking ahead for that, I'm looking at the college product, the college players that will be, popping off.
Is PSA at the show?
I'm sure they are. Yeah, I'm almost 100% they're there.
That makes it real interesting for me. Then, if I'm you, I would. So, it is the show Thursday to Sunday?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just thinking about this with having all that in mind. And especially since you're in California, I would try, and tell me if this is your thought process too. It's just I bet you're something along this. I would try to buy all my cards before Saturday that I would want to try to grade, and then get them prepped that Saturday night at my hotel, and then drop them off at PS. Is that what you're gonna do?
Yeah. If I can get an order together to them, I'll do that. Depending on what I pick up from cards. If not, if I don't have enough for a bulk order, I'll come back and I'll send them through PC Sports Cards.
Always a good option too.
Yeah, I'm fine either way doing that. But if I do have a bulk order and the time to put it together, yeah, I would do it out there and just hand it to them, so I don't have to, ship it out there. In fact, I have a couple cards, that one gold, true gold Sarah Strong auto that I cherry pulled.
Cherry rips.
Yeah, so that I would like to. I'm going to bring out and give to them. I'll hand deliver to them to grade that card.
Is that the only Sarah Strong you're going to have them grade, or only one that you want to share?
No. You know what? What's funny is I have a whole cabinet here of superfractors and blacks, to 10 and things like that. I don't know of what, I don't even think I need to grade them immediately, right? I think she's still got a few more years of, these are cards that I'll be holding probably for a couple more years. So as I go along and I have time to go through and actually, see, because some of them don't, some of them I don't think will gem. And then I think to myself, do I really, do I send a superfractor out to come back as a 9 or an 8? Like does that, and I mean, and that's probably a whole different episode. Does it take away from the fact? I mean, I'd love to send a superfractor and come back out of 10, right? But if it's not going to gem, is that the play? Is it still sending it, getting it graded, and regardless of what the grade is, to come back? So that's kind of more of a thought. A little bit more thought. I need to put more thought into some of those cards, how I am going to handle that.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, that's interesting. So your long term for Sarah Strong sounds longer than even this March.
Yeah, my thought is any of the higher end stuff that I have, like I have a ton of base all the way up to, like I said, superfractor. Yep. So any of those really higher end stuff, yeah, that's a hold until she's getting ready to go to the WNBA, right? Right now, who knows what happens next year, the year after? But in my mind, that's what the plan is for that. But a lot of these other ones, these first Bowmans, the Sapphires, all that stuff, just grade all that stuff, and that stuff you could just keep selling. I mean, just have tons and tons of that stuff. Which where's the value going to be on that? It's going to be similar, I think, to the Caitlin Clark stuff, anywhere from $60 to $125 on PSA 10s, right? And
Kind of what Paige was too this last go around, right? The PSA
yeah,
10 stuff.
same
Yeah.
thing. I did the same thing with her too. Yeah, I think I probably have a little bit more of Sarah, and I'll just and it's not just her. I mean, it's also Michaela Blake's, who we talked about, Silas Swords. There's a number of people that are going to be good in the market for the next few years. So might as well just keep grading and finding homes for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on for West Coast?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm excited to see the people out there. I have a number of people that I'm going to see out there. Relationships, just the people that I've messaged with, I've talked with, some people I bought and sold cards with that I'm excited to meet in person for the first time. I'm excited. My son is out there. I'm excited to see him. I don't know his plans as far as I mean, if you're at the show, you may meet him. He may be there with me. I know over the weekend he's going to come spend some time at the show. So, excited to, see him and hang out with him as well. It's usually when I travel to these shows, I usually have a road dog, a partner I'm going with. This time I'm not. So, little different. But I do know some people from Connecticut that are going out there, and a ton of people have reached out to me and said, look, if you need anything, any pointers or anything, I've been doing this show, when we get out there, if you need anything, just call or message or whatever. So I feel pretty good that, I've got enough people that I could rely on if I need some pointers or some information on anything.
So, yeah, sounds like you got it all set. Sounds like a lot of things going on. Sounds like it's gonna be a fun trip.
Yeah.
I have a market kind of question because it sounds like, I mean, from all things, it looks like the market's pretty strong right now. I think that's fair to say. But isn't it usually pretty strong this time of year?
Yeah.
And in like a month or two, isn't it usually not the strongest? And then we hear that like every single year.
Yeah, usually, in the fall. Usually in the fall, and I
Like
think
October to December.
yeah, and I think what happens, and you look at this too, and I'm going to say this, people may agree or disagree, but this is just my own thought from what I saw in 2021, in 2022, in 2023, in 2024, is it really depends on the draft class, right? And it depends on the wax that's going out there, right? It depends on what players are coming out, who, what you're grading. If it's a weak draft class, I think it's a weaker market, where nobody's really rushing out and trying to, like this last year we had all these quarterbacks. It was a really strong quarterback. So I think that really propels the market because people are buying the wax, they're grading the cards, we're selling the cards. Everybody wants to, prospect on Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy. Like there's just so many to be in on. But then when you have a weak draft class, right, that we only have, well, we don't even know.
I was going to say, I think the draft class is going to be a little bit better than people are making it out to be.
Well, it just depends on these quarterbacks and how people are prospecting on them. And are we rushing to get the cards and grade the cards and get them out to the market? But in general, when it's a weaker draft class or we don't know about the draft class, like in 2022, when in the fall of 2022, and the people are like, oh, the market reset, things are changing. It's there wasn't anybody great in the draft and all this other stuff, but it finds its way back, right? It's not like it stays there. It may drop, it may dip, but then the next spring, summer, it finds its way back up again. So I'm not so worried about that. It's like a roller coaster. If you just sit back and watch, you look at the pattern, you see what happens, right? This year it may dip. I mean, I don't know, but I always talk about selling all my football before the season starts anyways. And, the football that I'm selling, into September, October, November. It's just stuff that just PSA couldn't get to me before the season started, right? And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's
Yeah.
bad.
Yep. That's why I thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to see if it was deliberate of because the solo episode you just put out was hobby reset, so it was a deliberate timing to hobby reset too, right? Because then you're in. I'm not trying to like overstate it or anything, but it's like you're getting out and getting cash at a time in the year that is known to be high, and then going into a time of the year that's known to be low historically or lower with said cash. That's the goal, right?
And in years past, I'm telling you, I've sold high, right? And I bought the same cards back again in October, November at half the price, or at a
Looking
20
at
or
the
30
wild card weekend, right?
or 20 or 30% discount, and then resold those cards again the following, June, July, and August. So it's just I mean, it's the easiest way for me to try to buy the market correctly, buy or grade, sell, buy, and then sell again, right? It's the easiest way. There's people that could never hold on. The people that buy that card like you, that they've already have somebody taking that card, and they're hitting single, 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 and that's what their business is. Me, I'm hoping, I buy the card, I'm hoping maybe I'll get this card back at a double or a triple, right? And not a single, but it's the easiest way for me. And in the meantime, I'm still grading my own stuff, and I'm still, cycling my own stuff right into what's going on, and just trying to get it right every year. It's not perfect, and I'll be the first one to say it's not perfect, but I do my best.
Yeah, you just got to win more times than you lose, and it's fine though. And as long as you do that, it works out pretty well, especially over time.
Yeah, and the L's to me aren't a loss. The L's to me are a lesson.
Listen, yeah, no, right. I hear that. So what if this NFL class is like terrible? No one likes it. I really don't think it's going to be like that. But if it is, with what is perceived to be a really strong basketball class, would you dabble there?
Probably not, because I don't know basketball.
Okay. Well, I know that's what I was curious about, though, just because.
Yeah. I mean, the basketball that I know is the women's college and the WNBA, and yes, that's what I'll be on that side. But on the men's side, I've tried that twice. On the NBA side, I've tried buying the cards, and my guy Rich Whittlebug Cards. I mean, I'm sure at this point he's sick of hearing me. He's like, Rich, what do we think of this guy? Rich, what do we think of that guy? He's like, come on, man. It's like, do you ever watch basketball? I'm like, yeah, no. So to me, I'm like, I shouldn't be in it. I shouldn't be in that lane because I don't watch it. I don't know it. And I know there's people that are in it that don't watch it. But yeah, I think there's enough out there for me to be happy to do that I know enough about that I don't need to jump in the lanes that I don't know anything about.
Okay. I was just curious because I was thinking like football being quite a large part of your hobby lane, it's a direct impact if the class is bad, like right? Yeah. Like that's not over. That's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know you talked about soccer recently. Have you kind of ventured into that a little bit more? I'm assuming the West Coast show will have a lot of soccer.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a couple of men's soccer cards that I will bring out, and they'll be more like trade night type stuff than in my case. But I'm just going to be interesting to see what that market looks like out there. And I have a couple, like, I don't know what the women's soccer market has been pretty down. It's not down and out. It's just been down. And a number of the players that I have are presently not playing, so it's not a very good time to try to move those cards. So,
but for a collector, that's a great time to buy for you.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Even when I went to SoCo, I was hoping like I was going to find some, I mean, I think with Sophia Smith or is now Sophia Wilson, right, and Trinity Rodman, I think those Parkside 2021 cards are they're the ones to invest in. And it was interesting when I was out at SoCo that people had all the modern stuff. Like if they had the women's stuff, it was all the stuff from this year and last year, but nobody had that older stuff sitting in their case that I thought for sure I was going to find a ton of it out there. So yeah,
I
I think
haven't. It's funny. I just thought of this because I've been waiting. I haven't mentioned this to you. I've been curious. I don't know his name, but Trinity Rodman's boyfriend is quite the tennis player. I was waiting for Ken to go, yeah, just a little addition to the Trinity PC, and I was gonna see the tennis auto. His first name is Ben, right? Is it Ben? Is it Shelton? See, now I gotta look.
Yeah, you gotta look it up.
I look like a fool.
It's funny, and I talked about it. I don't know if it was
it is Ben Shelton
on the Hobby Chop or it was on my own, but when I was out at the National and I saw some of those Net Pro cards in there, I was looking at the prices. I was like, oh my God, these cards have made that big of a comeback, and people were kind of excited about those. And I have a whole collection. When I first got back in 2020, 2021, I bought a bunch of the Net Pro cards. I've just held on to them. They've just been sitting in a box. And when I moved to this office, I had them in my old house. I had shelving for them. And when I moved here, I took them off and I put the Trinity Rodman up on that shelving and I put them away. So, they may be at some point some cards that'll need to come out too.
Yeah, no, it's it's pretty interesting. The tennis friend of the show, Sam Schwartz, I know he had some just insane tennis because there was a Topps Chrome that came out, and some of those cards are outrageous. If you've seen the prices on them, they're crazy. Yeah, and I know he had quite a bit, and he showed them to me, and I'm like, what?
Sam's a guy from Causeway, from Mass.
He's up in Mass. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had some insane WNBA when we saw him. Great guy.
Yep.
So shout out Sam. So anything else, or should we get on to the remaining 4 spots?
Yeah, we could talk about that. We have 4 spots left for the Hobby Chop Redraft League, and as soon as we get those 4 spots filled, we are going to just throw out a thing for a draft. Date and times for a draft. It's interesting. All the drafts that I'm in, I haven't gotten one thing. I haven't received one thing about anybody drafting. I'm like, where? I mean, all of a sudden, it's going to happen. Like redraft night for like a week.
Yeah. Doing them at the same time.
Yeah. So and then we'll get everybody in there. That should be fun.
Yep. Yeah, and then message me or Ken on Instagram, and I created the group chat for the fantasy league, so I'll just add whoever, whether they message you or me, I'll add them to the group chat so we can figure all that stuff out.
Yep.
All right.
So if you're out at West Coast, I am at table 0419. Definitely come by and see me. I will have football and a lot of Caitlin Clark and Cameron Brink and NBA stuff as well. But pulling out a few Mahomes rookies. I'm going to throw them in, a little eye candy in the case, and a bunch of case hits, things like that. So little something for everyone out there. Come visit.
Alrighty. Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
Thanks. I will. I was set on my own. I'm going to bring my stuff out there. I just don't know if I'm going to have time to throw up a recap or not. But I think the recap should be pretty good. I think I might find 1 or 2 people from out there that may want to just jump on and do like a recap at the end, a recap on the other, on the sports card lessons, do a recap and just different perspective of,
absolutely,
what I'm doing and seeing and what they are too. So especially people who have been doing that show too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks for listening. Please like, please subscribe. And we'll be back next week. So next week, I come back Tuesday. So we may be either probably going live on Thursday, right?
Yep, I will have an announcement next Hobby Chop. So there we
Good.
go.
Good. Sounds good. All right, man. Take care, and I will keep you updated from Anaheim.
Yep, safe travels.